in America over the last 40 years.
It's a different world now. Like, we don't need men the way that they used to.
Nobody needs men!
The future is female.
Men and women are drifting further apart, and society is crumbling because of it.
A fascinating debate has broken out about the value of marriage.
You've kind of got the trad con versus red pill thing.
This men's rights crowd that sometimes just goes too far the other way.
You need to stop acting like grown boys and infants and actually become men.
Marriage is a bond, and it's a sacred bond.
It's a machine designed to extract resources from you.
Now many of the red-pilled have taken the position that it's bad for men to get married.
Hannah Pearl Davis, or just Pearly things.
One of the most controversial faces in all of the internet.
She goes on to say that marriage is a terrible deal for men.
Because if me and you were in a business contract, you would never sign a contract where I am paid to leave.
Gee, what could go wrong there?
74% or something of divorces are initiated by women. Men have everything to lose, primarily their own children.
Men get killed by the courts and by divorce laws.
I had no idea that courts of family law were courts of equity, not courts of law.
Because in family court, you don't need evidence to accuse someone of abuse. You need no evidence. When you guys say get married young, a lot of these men don't know what they're signing up for, and you're not going to be there when their entire life falls apart. I interview them on the other side.
I didn't meet my son until he was 15 months old.
How much did you spend trying to get him back?
On legal fees alone was about $200,000.
Before you know it, you're homeless. You're literally just thrown out onto the street.
We absolutely reinforce bad behavior from women.
Wives are taught to leave their husbands, and then daughters grow up without their fathers.
Family is the foundation of the society.
Every problem in society comes from single mother homes.
A lot of women will just chase this negative rabbit hole of happiness, endless happiness.
Feminism's biggest failures is it lies to women. We tell women to date as many guys as possible. We tell them to put off family and a marriage.
You are allowed to leave your perfect husband. You are allowed to end a relationship with a really great boyfriend.
Oh, freeze your eggs, have an abortion. What? You're evil.
I don't think there's anything else in life that we actually ever go into preparing to fail. Right. Like if you have the mentality of this is going to go wrong and be pessimistic, naturally the outcome is going to be that it's going to fail anyway. Yeah. It's self-sabotage.
And that's the thing, like women are so willing to leave marriages because they're not happy. This is not about happiness. The most important thing is the children. And the problem is we have a modern society where it's me, my feelings, leave when I feel like it, instead of doing what's best for the kids.
This myth that we live in an age of male privilege. Where's my male privilege?
They think, well, men have all the rights. They have all the power.
Privileged patriarchal system that we have.
Why doesn't our society care about men's rights?
I have no friends, no wife, and no social life.
Men are alone in this situation. Men are homeless. Men are thinking about eating guns.
I've seen so many men on the brink of suicide, and they didn't do anything wrong.
How are you equal if the men are the ones that have to fight and die to defend the country? The men are the ones that build and maintain all the infrastructure.
Women are helplessly dependent upon men.
The so-called deaths of despair from suicide, overdose, or alcohol, 3 times higher among men than among women.
Culture is telling men, you are no good.
You got to get your act together.
I think men have failed themselves.
What kind of a man are you? What kind of a woman are you going to attract?
If men are in trouble, so are women.
Everybody knows this is a huge problem, but nobody wants to admit it.
Every single woman at the table said they wanted a man.
500K,
500K, 300K,
200K.
Am I crazy?
Everything is really set up against you to fail as a man.
If men make less than women, women don't want to marry them.
So you know who wants more economically and emotionally viable men? Women.
I don't want to be an independent woman anymore.
I don't want to be a strong, independent woman.
I'm over it. When is it going to be my turn?
Where are we meeting the men that don't stop?
I can't keep having these same conversations.
The only simp here is you, Pearl. You simp for men.
I think you simp for women.
She's a provocateur. She says stupid stuff, but Pearl is right about this.
It's already happening. It's just not out in the open yet.
Now it's just hookup culture is going to be our fairy tale ending because men don't want a wife and women can't find a husband.
The future, if everybody follows your path, is there is no future.
We go into population decline, and our economy goes into decline.
Civilization will crumble.
The American story does not end well. This is an existential crisis, failing young men.
Okay, you know what's funny at the end of this? Rachel's like spitting. She's like, the future is bad if we continue down this path. And the women are just sitting there. And it's really what I've seen with women. They're like, we do not care. We don't care in the slightest. And then there's that like girl, she's like, you know, men don't want a wife. And she's got like the fake nails. the Botox, the fake hair, you know, and I'm like, I just don't care. I don't care. I don't. But I really would like to make that this documentary reality, and you guys can support it in 2 ways. Okay, so the first is we have a GoFundMe. If we can get around, let me do the math right now, like 100K on the documentary, I could potentially hire an editor in-house, 50 to 100K if we raise that much. So if you want to donate directly that way, either to me, just pearlythings@gmail.com, or you click the documentary link. Other thing, you could join the #1 community in the space, where it's a one-time lifelong membership. And I'm going to bring on the most intelligent, smart, famous and non-famous men I know to teach you guys how to get laid, make more money, and improve your health. So, like for example, last week we brought in a dating coach. I'm going to bring on different fitness people. And what I want to do long term is you guys are going to be able to review each content, and then we can kind of cater it to what you guys like, what's helpful, what's unhelpful. Shiv came on here and told you guys how to make money through SEO. That was really helpful stream I gave you guys. If you either want to sell YouTube services or be a YouTuber, either or, I taught you guys how to do that. So either way, both of them, for the community, you do have to apply, because I got to make sure you're not weird, because at some point we're going to do events and meet in person. Like, if you join the community, which, by the way, the people that were on the Audacity site before the 15th, you should have been automatically admitted. But if you join the community, as long as you're not, you don't do anything super weird, I got to make sure, you know. You'll probably get to meet me at some point in the next few years, and we're going to raise the price, but it's, you know, it's low now. So I warned you guys before. I said, before I raise this price, you could get it for $10 a month. And if you didn't join before then, I don't know what to tell you. Okay. So today we're actually talking about, a risk mitigation, tactic. So welcome to Pearl Daily, guys. If you've been watching my channel long enough, you know that, you know, I don't think marriage is the most favorable deal for men. You do have to make your own decisions as a man, but especially in the modern age with modern women, men really have everything to lose. They have nothing to gain. And the idea of marriage, even in the age of women making more money, being independent and doing for themselves, is, you know, that a man is still supposed to sacrifice himself for women. And I've asked so many people, especially the trad cons, that tell men to get married, what's in it for the man? As you guys saw from my documentary. They never have a good answer, other than shaming men for being degenerates. That's really, or telling you that you got to do it for my kids. It's like, dude, most men aren't going to be able to have children. Where's their incentive? Even if you get married, there's no guarantee she could just go abort your kid. You know what I mean? And so it's interesting, because they always put it like, what's in it for them? They're like, society, you know, we have to save society. And the average man is thinking, yeah, for your kids. I don't know if I'm going to get custody of my kids. My kids don't belong to me. You're a rich guy, right? So there's influencers on the right. They just use every single trick in the book to try to get men to take a deal that is just not favorable to men. But the most vocal tactic I've heard recently is a prenup will save you. I'm sorry to be skeptical. I doubt it. So what is a prenup? It's a legally binding contract signed by two people before marriage that outlaws how their assets and debts will be handled in the event of a divorce or death. This allows couples to define their own rules for property division and spousal support that can differ from the laws of the state. But here's the thing, many women, they'll hate men for even asking for a prenup. Even the question will give women a reason to shame her man for the rest of their life. She now has the ability to hold that over your head forever. And, you know, men can get screwed in court even if they do have a prenup. A lot of the time, the man is forced to pay a lawyer and for her lawyer while the divorce proceedings are going on, and she can just keep challenging the prenup. And by the way, guys, when these influencers cite you stats that prenups are effective, ask them where they got the stats from. 90% of the time, it's from a law office. And I just have to ask, what is the incentive for a law office that's selling prenups to be honest about how effective they are? That's like a restaurant when you ask them, is your kitchen clean? And they say, yeah. Can we verify that from a third party? Well, no, we told you it works, right? I don't believe that prenup agreements are the magical solutions that tradcons are making it out to be. It's also funny that so many religious influencers are telling men to get state legal protections against their virtuous wives. What's up with that? So here's an article talking about, are there downsides to prenups? Okay. Are there downsides to prenups? Like every good thing in life, sometimes there are downsides to even the best of things like candy and prenups. Candy is delicious, sweet, and fun to eat, but the downside, too much of it will send you straight to the dentist. Prenups help protect you financially. They set expectations with your spouse and reduce the stress of divorce if it ever happens. But the downside is that prenups can be expensive. See what we mean? There are downsides to even the greatest things on earth, like candy and prenups. A prenuptial agreement is a contract between two fiancés who are getting married. It outlines the terms and conditions of their marriage, including the division of property and assets in the event of a divorce or death. While prenups provide several advantages for couples, it is important to also consider the limitations, drawbacks, and potential risks associated with them before deciding if a prenup is right for you. Prenups have become increasingly popular in recent years as more couples look for ways to protect their assets, clarify their financial expectations, and reduce the stress and uncertainty of divorce proceedings. In the article, we'll take a closer look at the pros and cons of prenups so you can make an educated decision about whether a prenup is right for you. All right, so the advantages of a prenup is protecting assets. Many people get prenups to protect their assets, whether you have $50,000 or $50 million, a prenup can protect that money. Assets can include bank accounts, retirement funds, real estate, and much more. For the sake of a prenup, assets are either accrued before the marriage or during the marriage. You can protect both existing assets and the future assets in a prenup by marking them as separate property. This means that your assets will be safeguarded and you won't have to worry about losing them in the event of a divorce. Defining the terms and conditions of the marriage and divorce. A prenup allows you and your partner to define the terms and conditions of your marriage, which can help reduce stress and uncertainty. You and your partner can specify how assets and debts will be divided in the case of a divorce, which will help ensure that both spouses are on the same page. A prenup not only clarifies what should happen in the event of a divorce, but also the terms of a marriage. Things like marital expenses, joint bank accounts, and other financial obligations can be outlined in the prenup to dictate the rules of the marriage. Reducing the stress and uncertainty of divorce proceedings. Because the terms and conditions of your marriage have been agreed upon in advance, the divorce process can be much smoother and less stressful. There will be less room for disagreement and less uncertainty, which can make the process less emotionally taxing. In other words, the big issues like property and debt division have already been decided on in your prenup. If you have a prenup, you pretty much know what's going to happen in your divorce. Taking the uncertainty out of divorce processes can provide a lot of peace in mind and relief to many. Clarifying financial expectations. A prenup allows you and your partner to clarify your financial expectations, which can help prevent misunderstandings and conflict down the road. When your financial expectations are clear, you'll be less likely to experience financial conflict in your marriage. What do we mean by financial expectations? Well, do one of you expect to be a stay-at-home parent? Maybe one of you makes significantly more than the other who would pay the bills. Maybe the less earning spouse falsely believed the higher earning spouse would cover most of them. The list goes on and on. These are the things that need to be worked out in a prenup and will help clarify expectations. The downside of prenups. While prenups have many benefits, there are some drawbacks to consider. Here are some limitations and drawbacks of prenups. Difficulty in predicting financial circumstances. Did you know that Jeff Bezos did not have a prenup with his ex-wife? It's crazy, we know. When he started Amazon, he probably had no idea that it would launch him directly into the billionaire status. Just like Jeff Bezos, there's no telling where you'll be in 5, 10, or 15 years. You could be orbiting around the earth like Jeff in 10 years and you'll never know. It can be difficult to predict your financial circumstances. Okay, where's the downside? Well, depending on your state law and your specific circumstances, a prenup that was fair and reasonable at the time of your marriage may no longer be in the event of a divorce. The possibility of a prenup being considered unfair or unenforceable. In some cases, prenups may be considered unfair or unenforceable by the courts. This can occur for various reasons, such as if the prenup was not entered into voluntarily, if it was not properly executed, or if it contains provisions that are illegal, such as provisions related to child custody and support. There are things you can do to ensure your prenup is as ironclad as possible, like using Hello Prenup or an attorney to draft your prenup, which can help you ensure that your prenup is up to par with correct state laws. However, there are some things that are out of your control, such as major change in circumstances. All right, now we got this pretty blonde lady talking about prenups.
A common question we get all the time has to do with, will my prenup hold up in court? That's a really loaded question, but I'm going to break it down for you from a legal perspective. In the vast majority of states, when you get divorced, you can either get divorced amicably or you have a litigated divorce case, which is what people oftentimes think of when they think of divorce, like on TV, right? You see a trial, it's very dramatic. The vast majority of divorce cases do not get to that point because it's really expensive. When you have a prenup and you get divorced, you can either choose to follow the terms of the prenup, and that may occur through either each hiring attorneys and hammering out, negotiating the terms of your divorce based on what is in the prenuptial agreement. Or, and again, I'm speaking very generally because each state is different, you can file in court and have a litigated case in order to come to the conclusion as to whether or not the prenuptial agreement should be enforced by the court. My point in explaining all of this to you is to show you that there is a wide gap between having a prenup and following the terms that you contracted to and having a court actually have to enforce that prenuptial agreement and incorporate the terms into a divorce judgment. So back to the original question, will my prenup hold up in court? Well, this question is up to the court at the time of your divorce. I do not have a crystal ball. I do not know what a judge at the time of your divorce,
yeah, it kind of depends on the judge you get,
is going to decide. Every case is different. And if you have any additional questions.
Okay. All right, the possibility of a prenup being challenged in court. Let's back it up a little bit. In order to even have a prenup be declared unenforceable by a court, you have to go through the court process. In other words, your spouse has to challenge the prenup. The prenup itself doesn't just walk into the courtroom and let the judges know it's a bad prenup. No, somebody has to challenge the prenup. Now, the process of challenging the prenup can result in lengthy and costly legal battles, which can be emotionally taxing and time-consuming. The downside here is the mere act of dealing with a court battle. The possibility of a prenup being used as a bargaining tool. Sometimes a prenup can be used as a bargaining tool in divorce proceedings. How? Well, a lawyer could theoretically threaten to or actually file a complaint with the court challenging the prenup. The bargaining tool here would be dropping the complaint in exchange for something like more money in the divorce or a settlement. This can make the whole divorce process more complicated and emotionally taxing. The possibility of a prenup costing a lot of money. Prenups can be very expensive, especially if you hire a lawyer to draft the agreement. The average prenup costs about $2,500. That's just for the average case. If you have a ton of questions, complex finances, or difficult requests, your prenup could end up costing $10,000 or more. Yikes. Luckily, Hello Prenup is here to save the day. Okay. Now they're selling their prenups. All right, common misconceptions about prenups. Many people think about common misconceptions about prenups as the downside to prenups, when in actuality it's not even true. So we want to clear up some of the common myths floating around there for you. Prenups are never upheld. That is not true. Prenups are often upheld despite what people believe. Yes, there are times when a prenup is not upheld, but that is not the baseline standard. The bottom line, it is possible to craft a valid and enforceable prenup that the court will uphold if you get a good judge. Prenups can only protect one person. Wrong. Prenups can protect both parties, but in different ways. For example, spouse A can protect the majority of their future inheritance and pre-existing assets, while spouse B can still receive alimony and a lump sum payment to support them after the marriage ends. Prenups mean your relationship will fail. Oftentimes, people cite distrust, a bad omen, or a failed relationship for their reason for not getting a prenup. Is that true? It could be true, but it's not necessarily true. Think about it this way. When you purchase car insurance, does that mean it's a bad omen and you're bound to fail at driving and crash every single day? Of course not. Car insurance is simply a plan B in case things go wrong, which they might not. Think of a prenup in the same way. A prenup is simply plan B in case things go wrong. Getting a prenup doesn't equal failure. Is a prenup right for you? Should I get a prenup? That is the question. Whether or not a prenup is right for you will depend on a number of factors. That includes your financial situation and your personal values. If you are thinking about getting a prenup, it's crucial to educate yourself with the resources available and or speak with a lawyer who can understand what is right for you. In your opinion, prenups can be for everyone regardless of your net worth. The conclusion is that prenups may have advantages and benefits, but they also have limitations and potential risks. It's important to carefully consider the pros and cons of a prenup before deciding if the one is right for you. If you're unsure about whether or not a prenup is right for you, it may be a good idea to educate yourself on prenup laws in your state or consult with a family law attorney who can help you evaluate the situation and make an informed decision. Okay, next we got 5 bad things about prenups. All right, 5 prenuptial pitfalls that may be bad for your marriage. All right, negotiating a prenup may damage your relationship and make divorce more likely. In the context of a prenup, there is usually an initiator spouse and a complement spouse. The dynamics of prenup negotiations may set up as a bad pattern for marriage. Some fiancés pushing for a prenup may be demonstrating a lack of faith in their partner and a lack of commitment to marriage. This can cause the compliant spouse to feel a lack of connection to the initiator fiancé and feel like the initiator is cold or callous. In addition, negotiating prenups is anything but romantic, and if prenup discussions become tense or difficult, they destroy a portion of the couple's love before they've even had a chance to enjoy their wedding. Negotiating finances is a harsh business, and it's often made harsher by a couple's lawyers. Generally speaking, both fiancés should hire attorneys to negotiate and draft a prenup on their own behalf because the agreement may not be enforceable without the involvement of separate legal counsel. Most lawyers representing parties in prenuptial negotiations act as if the entire transaction is purely business. Although some aspects of a romantic partnership may require the partners focus on money and financial health, marriage is not a business. Often, the initiating party says after the wedding, you can just put the premarital agreement in a drawer and forget about it. But of course, that's not true and not really possible. The premarital agreement simply cannot be forgotten. It's a legal contract both parties are bound to live by. There may be resentment on either side that was given up, not agreed to, and the resentment may rear its head in all aspects of marriage. Prenups tend to be, we love this word, coercive. When negotiating, parties do not have bargaining power. For example, when one fiancé asks for a prenup very close to the wedding date, after the invitations have been set out, the negotiation is unfair. The other fiancé may feel extreme pressure to agree to anything just so the wedding isn't canceled. In fact, under such circumstances, the compliant fiancé can claim that he or she did not have sufficient time to consider the prenup and was under extreme duress when signing it. In that case, the compliant spouse could have a very strong case for having the prenup overturned. That There are other less extreme ways for bargaining power to be imbalanced. Maybe one fiance is not savvy with the business or money matter and isn't sure what she is being asked to give up. Maybe the initiating fiance is very influential and almost intimidating to his or her partner, such that the compliant fiance can't imagine pushing back or asking questions about the prenup and feels impossible to say no to the proposed terms of the contract. Even mediators can be insensitive or unaware of any power imbalance when assisting clients in negotiating a prenup. Mediators should try to determine whether the agreement was proposed by both parties, may be really thought of as the only one, and whether the other party feels coerced. All motivations and feelings should be exposed and discussed in the mediation prior to the proceeding. Prenups may be inappropriate for couples entering into a marriage. Marriage is an exciting joint venture. An important part of the joint venture of marriage is the financial partnership. A spouse may correctly feel that some of this aspect of marriage has been taken away in a premarital agreement decreases that if a premarital agreement decreases that spouse's rights. State divorce laws are designed to handle the issues of disparity of income and disparity of premarital assets if and when the spouses get divorced. So insisting on prenuptial agreements that may end up harming the relationship may not be a sensible trade-off. However, prenuptial agreements can be highly useful for entering into second marriages who have children from first marriages. A prenup can balance the spouse's loyalty to the new spouse with the spouse's concern and loyalty to his or her children of the first marriage. Prenups often damage the relationship between the families of origin. An initiating party may want a financial agreement prior to the marriage due to the existence of family wealth and proposal a premarital agreement that excludes all family property from the marriage forever. The result is that the future spouse's family feels humiliated and disrespected and never forgets the rebuff. This is not good for a relationship, and it will result in the family of origin that will be present during the entire marriage. A common example is where the initiating fiance doesn't want the prenuptial agreement, but spouse A's parents insist. The prenuptial agreement is made and agreed to, but the compliant spouse feels that spouse A was unable to stand up to his or her parents. The compliant spouse loses respect for spouse A and spouse A's parents. When one family of origin tries to control the marriage through a prenuptial agreement, it distributes the delicate balance in a couple's relationship and makes it more likely to fail. When prenuptial terms are unfair, divorcing spouses may end up in a court battle anyway. Prenuptial agreements do not always eliminate divorce court battles. Sometimes premarital agreements give a spouse a fraction of what he or she would be entitled to under state law. Although the outcome tends to support the notion that the deal is made in prenuptial agreements years earlier was unfair to the spouse, courts routinely enforce prenups that result in unfair outcomes, but will take a second look when enforcing the prenup would create such a disparity of wealth that the disadvantaged spouse would end up close to destitute or on public benefits. When a couple that had a prenup decides to divorce and the divorce seems to result in an unfair result to one spouse, the spouse may very likely go to court to try to have the prenup set aside and request that the court uses the laws of the state to make a decision about alimony and property division. Court cases that involve the validity of a prenup can be very expensive and time-consuming, and they can drag on for years. So it's important to realize that a prenup is no guarantee that you'll avoid divorce court. All right, so now let's see what the ladies are saying about prenups.
Clever.
Make this full screen.
Clever things I've seen women put in prenups, Money Before Men edition. This is going to be fun. When I started doing prenup work, it was really because I had a divorce that I was working on and consulting with, and she had a friend who was getting married, and she was like, oh my God, you need to talk to Joanna. So a divorcing woman sent a woman getting married to me, and that's how prenup work was born. Sometimes I pinch myself that this is work that I do. But if I can help one woman avoid the mistakes that so many women have made before, in getting married and wishing they could go back and do it again, it's worth it. Please keep in mind, this is very respective, okay? Like, Someone might have like $35 million, own a tech company, have tons of houses. Like, it just depends on the situation. But I always love a 6-month emergency fund for a woman in a bank account with just her name on it in the event of a divorce. Someone I know was going to have a baby, and she put in writing that she wanted a tummy tuck, she wanted a nanny, she wanted house cleaning care. And in the event of a divorce, those services...
She put a tummy tuck in the divorce? You have got to be kidding me.
Level of living would be continued as part of the divorce settlement, so she would never lose support for...
Do you know what the trads don't take into account? You're negotiating with terrorists. So you're negotiating a prenup with a terrorist. And these conservative guys are not getting prenups. They think too highly of their wives. That's why they always get got. They always think my wife would never. And to be honest, if you think like that, you kind of deserve everything that's coming to you. Because TikTok is here, social media is here. And so before, the men of the past, women could hide our true nature a lot better. Not anymore.
For raising a child. One gal that I worked with had real estate money that she was able to invest every single year. And if the marriage came to an end, she would get to take all of the assets and portfolios that she'd built up over the course of the marriage, because she had sold her house to move in with him. And so she didn't have a place to live. So she needed a lot of options. Let me know if you want more ideas. I have them.
All right, what do we got next? Woman said she never would have married her husband if he made her sign a prenup.
This might be
What are we rating her, guys? Fellas, 1 to 10. 1 to 10, let's go.
This might be a little controversial, but I would not have married my husband if he made me sign a prenup. And I know I'm going to have a lot of people.
I'm giving her an inflated 6. I think she naturally would be a 5, but she's got some filters and stuff on. I guess she's thin. In America, she'll be a 6. She'd be like a 4 overseas.
Calling me a gold digger. Trust me, I am far from that. My husband and I, we are actually in love. We've been married for almost 15 years. We have 3 beautiful children. And I also make my own.
If they weren't in love, would she say it? Sorry, I'm a pessimist.
Money. It was actually my husband who taught me how to become my own successful, independent woman, how to get my own bag, because I believe that's what real men do. They want their woman to be the best version of themselves, and he did just that for me. But my own personal reason as to why I would never sign a prenup is because I feel like I'm ultimately jinxing my marriage at that point. Because what do you mean? We are talking about, we are planning, we are anticipating, we are getting our attorneys involved about this future divorce before even walking down the aisle. That just doesn't sit right with me. At that point, I would rather just not get married. Let's just be in a relationship. For most of my life, I didn't even want to get married.
Translation: if I don't get the leverage over you, there's no point.
Because, childhood trauma. So if we're going to get married, if you are going to be my husband, if I am your wife, it is for life. Okay, you are stuck with me, not only in this lifetime, but probably in many lifetimes afterwards, because I'm psycho like that. My husband didn't even bring up the idea of a prenup when we got married. And while he's not as successful as he is today, he still owned his own business, and he was still doing far better than most 28-year-olds. And here I was still trying to figure out what I wanted to do with my life. So the fact that he didn't even bring it up to me, not once, it actually made me love him even more, because it showed me that we have the same morals and values when it comes to a marriage, when it comes to what being a husband and wife actually is. This is my own personal opinion. I'm not saying that I'm right. I'm not saying that at all. I could be completely wrong, and I'm okay with that. But if you are one of the women who actually did sign a prenup, I would love to know your reasons why and how you weren't offended by that.
How you weren't offended. By the way, guys, if you have any experience with prenups, we're going to do a call-in. So we're actually going to put the link in the chat now. I'm going to watch a couple more prenup videos, but if you know anybody that had a prenup, I want to hear from firsthand experience, your experiences with
And by the way, isn't it...
So we got James Sexton.
And by the way, isn't it lovely to hear what someone likes about you? I think it's one of the nicest things in the world when somebody says, you know what I like about you, Jim? I'm all ears. Tell me, Or if someone who I love and trust, I know you're my friend. So if you called me and you said, Jim, can I give you some constructive feedback? Like something I think you're doing that's getting in your own way? Dude, I would be all ears. See, that's an event in a couple's life, right? So why in this romantic context would you squander the opportunity to have that conversation? Here's what you bring to my life. Here's how you make me feel. Here's when I feel the most loved. Here's when I feel not as loved by you.
I think it's because when people hear the word prenup, they're thinking ending. I could be wrong, but I don't think most people associate the word prenup with anything about the success of the marriage, which is probably why so few people get them. Is there any idea roughly what percentage of
No, because what's
marriages-
amazing about a prenup is not filed anywhere. It's a contract.
And is it as binding as anything else?
Oh, yeah. For the 25 years I've been practicing, trust me, I've had a couple of prenups I've tried to set aside, and I've been unsuccessful, and I'm a good lawyer. But it's very hard to set aside a properly drafted prenup.
What is a properly drafted prenup? Is my question. Prenups can be thrown out in court. This guy's coming.
I've also heard that prenups can get practically thrown out of court. Is that true?
Yeah. So I want to hear from the field, not the lawyers, I want to hear from people in the field. I'm going to send a tweet too with this.
People's prenups get thrown out in court because you either had them sign it under duress, which happens the most.
What does that mean though?
Under duress means under pressure. So the wedding's today, here's the paperwork, we ain't getting married. That's duress. You can't do it.
But how do they prove that in court if they got married 5, 8, 10, 20 years before that?
Because you signed the date on it. And you know what the date of the marriage is.
Okay.
And so those sorts of things get you thrown out. But the biggest reason that that prenups get thrown out is because you didn't disclose all your assets.
Really?
Yeah.
So, I didn't know that.
It's so easy to especially if you're trying to move assets into other entities and that sort of thing. So yeah. So that's why I tell people, get your affairs in order before you get engaged. Because if you do that, you don't have to disclose. It's just no longer on the table. But if you have assets in your name, you get engaged and you're in contemplation of marriage, you now have to disclose what you have before you can move it into a trust, or it will be like you're hiding the assets.
Really? See, I didn't know that.
Okay, next. We got another woman saying she wouldn't sign a prenup.
There are going to be people online that say you didn't get married because he wanted you to sign a prenup. Correct. So why did you not just sign the prenup?
In that moment, it was, I'd rather walk away from something knowing that I chose myself than to spend the rest of my life not being loved the way that I love.
Translation, I want to take his money. And virtue signal while I do it.
Somebody.
Yep. Let's see, a world's gymnast trying to get out of a prenup. Oh, I think the sound stopped working on this one. There is a woman who refused to sign a prenup and says she'll go back to her home country. I can't imagine what this lady here is after. With a face full of makeup, giant hoopy. Okay, the sound isn't working on this, but she is not having it. She's done. Okay, let's see this next one. Does this work better, maybe? No, the sound still doesn't work. Okay, we got Doug MPA on the line. I can't hear anything. I don't know. The link's in the chat, guys. So my favorite way to get stories and whatever is from you guys directly. So if you could click the link in
for a religious marriage. Understand what I'm saying?
Well, do you know what else was interesting? It said that you shouldn't get married with the state and just do it in religion. But then why would you have a prenup if you're not getting married with the state?
They're saying that there's no audio on the YouTube now. And for the
Should be
production
backed.
team, the audio was my fault because my microphone wasn't plugged in when I started. Sorry about that. So whatever
be
settings
back. It's
you had it on?
working now.
Okay, cool. All right.
Where were we cut off at? Did they lost the whole part? Okay. So we were talking about Andrew Wilson in that debate. Yeah, go
and
ahead.
How Andrew Wilson is that? Oh, he's Mr. Orthodox.
Mhm.
I respect Andrew Wilson, but he's
Yeah,
Mr.
me too.
Orthodox Christian, and he's saying that men should get a prenup with the state. But then he talks about religious marriage, and I'm using him as an example of these trad cons are using every reason, every way to try to trick guys into taking this bad deal. And if you think about it, if a trad con says we'll just get a prenup, they're pretty much acknowledging that women are kind of scumbags out here, and guys are going to get screwed. Because the main thing about it is the trad cons, they can't get around the fact that all they're doing is tell men, just do it, bro. Go for it. It could work out for you. When we know most likely it won't.
Do you know anybody that got a prenup?
I have one friend that got a prenup, and that's only because he has an Ivy League PhD,
Mhm.
and he always knew that he was going to be big time. And he got a prenup. He met his now wife in college,
Mhm.
and they met in Ivy League, but she stays home with the kids. But he told her from the jump when he was in his postgrad program, if we get married, I'm getting a prenup. So she knew from the jump, and they didn't get married till like 4 years after college. So he had the first conversation with her right before he started his PhD, and she just signed it because they were together for so long, and they're still together.
Okay, that was my next question, if they're still together
they're
or
still
not.
together. They have 3 kids. She's a stay-at-home mother, and he is he works for some law firm that represents big pharma companies against lawsuits, and so he has a PhD in chemistry. So he does all the scientific write-up for defense for pharmaceutical companies against lawsuits. So he makes a ton of money, man. He makes a ton of money.
I hope someone that had a prenup and it either worked or didn't work calls in. I want to hear from people that actually went through a divorce and had one, and if it held up or not. Go ahead.
And also, do you guys think that prenups are like the magical solution for marriage rates to rise? Let's say that every woman you met would say, okay, I'll sign a prenup.
Mm-hmm.
Does it make it sound any less risky to you guys? I don't think so.
No.
I really don't. Because here's the thing. Prenups, they can, in fact, while we're waiting for people on the call, I'm going to read Kevin Costner's divorce real fast, if you don't mind. Pearl.
Sure, go ahead.
So he married this last woman in 2004, right? And originally had $38,000 a month in child support written into the prenup, right? And if she divorced, she had to leave within 30 days of divorcing him, because his first marriage, when he got divorced, he had no prenup, and he had to end up sleeping on his friend's couch while the divorce was going through. So she said that her lawyer said that she didn't know what understand meant when she signed that she understood what the prenup meant. So that was their defense. And then she tried to get $248,000 a month in child support.
Holy shit.
And she wouldn't leave the house. Yeah.
I think is it Kevin Costner? Is that the guy I saw in Hollywood?
Yeah. He was in Yellowstone. He was in Ten Cup. He was in Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves. Yeah. And of course, she's divorcing him because his work schedule took so much of a toll on her.
You're married to an actor?
Yep. And so their estate is worth 100. Well, his mansion, his whole property is worth 145 million, and she wanted half of that. And even so, during their divorce, she temporarily got $159,000 a month for like 7 months while the divorce was going back and forth, and now she gets like $47,000 a month, but originally it was $38,000. Yeah, and then she wanted $30,000 a month to contribute towards her new home, as well as him to cover moving costs. Yeah.
All while she's getting banged out by another dude.
Yeah. Yep. She divorced him. He literally said that he had no idea that she was going to get divorced. And now, rumor is, because she only is getting like $47,000 a month, that she regrets divorcing Kevin Costner. I think she honestly thought that she was going to get more money.
She gets $47,000 a month and she's not happy.
Yep.
Shit, I mean,
You got it.
I'll take half of that. What the hell?
Yeah.
How are you not happy on $50K a month? Just you? Jesus Christ, these people.
No, it's their kids too, because they share custody.
Yeah, but how old are the kids? He's old. It says,
it
says
here.
he's 70, so.
Yeah, because he's like 69.
Oh my gosh, he has 7 kids. Are they all from the same woman?
No, they're from like 3 different women.
Oh, okay. 38, 37.
And of course, she's a woman, so she gets $47,000 a month in child support, but she moved into a rental mansion that's costing her $35,000 a month.
The youngest one is 14. Okay,
Yep.
so you got one 14-year-old, one 6. I mean, how expensive are... Okay. Dang. Is anyone on the call or no?
No, not yet.
Guys, help.
What do you guys think? Are prenups the magical solution? If you met a woman and she said, "I'll sign a prenup, but let's get married," would you still do it, guys?
Would you do it, Doug, MPA?
You know what? I don't think that any guy should get married, so no. I mean, I've been married once before, and guys, let me tell you, you cannot, you can't control what a modern woman is going to do. Once you get married, all you can do is endure what she wants you to do. Playing video games, watching football, all that stuff. If she doesn't want you to do it, she's going to give you hell. So, in the name of your peace, don't get married, guys. And this whole, oh yeah, you can find a virtuous woman. Yeah, sure. What incentive does a woman have to be virtuous? And women are rewarded for not being virtuous in today's society.
I'd like to see more house husbands. Put them to work. And put them on alimony.
You know what?
That's what I'd like to see. Put them on alimony and child support.
Yeah. Every time I see that, like Mary J. Blige's husband was her manager, but he didn't pay her taxes for like 10 years, 12 years.
Mm-hmm.
So he started sleeping with another woman and was using her money to cheat on her with, right? And so they got divorced.
Oh my gosh.
And she had to find out that she owed $7 million in taxes. And now she's paying him $55,000 a month in child support.
Oh my God. I've never heard of a woman taking a bigger L. How much is she worth?
Look up Kelly Clarkson. Kelly Clarkson had to give half her song catalog to her ex-husband. I think it's like $80 million, something like that.
Let's see. How much is she worth, though? Well, Kelly Clarkson is worth $50 million.
Yeah. Now that she's divorced because her husband took half of it. And then freaking Adele. Adele was the same way. Talk about an L she took. Telling you, every time a man gets child support and alimony, all of us men rejoice.
Kelly Clarkson's husband's just pissed he got the fat wife and then she lost all the weight after. The audacity. look at show my screen for a second. This is her during the marriage. Super fat.
Dang.
Yeah, big. And then recently she just starts losing the weight. Hold on now. Not yet. Not yet.
Ozempic. For the longest time, she was denying that she's taking Ozempic. She's like, I eat nuts and berries and I hike 10 miles a week. And that's how I lost all that weight.
Yeah, now I'm going to try to find a more recent. I mean, I don't think she was as thin of, yeah, see, look at, that's what she looks like now.
Ozempic, baby.
Yeah, like she's not as thin as she was before the marriage, but still, he's like, I had to deal with this. He's like, you sold me left. You gave me right. And then after you went back, or you went to this, I will put you on child support, bitch. Yeah. He's like, fuck you. Because she's like hot here. Hey, Pearl, I just want to say I love your show and thanks for being a kind and authentic person. I plan on getting a married West Coast or dipping to Brazil. Nice. I wonder if prenups will be another reason to stay in court longer and spend more money in the future since the systems always find a way to be corrupt.
Almost everything in society is built to transfer money in mass from men to women. Everything.
Women used to bring money to marriages, you know. They used to have dowries. It was from the father, but they're like, please take this daughter. I'll pay you to take my daughter. Versus today, they just were just problems. What an L. Oh my, can you imagine? You signed up for right and you got left for years. Can you, Matt? Look at this, Doug. You see this?
And look at that Ozempic face, guys. Look at the right picture.
No, the right. That's her young. That's before.
Was it? Okay,
yeah, that's before. I'll show you. I had it up earlier, but this is the Ozempic face is on the right. It's way more prominent.
Yeah, there it is. You see how her skin is kind of hanging off her bones?
Yeah. Yeah, he had to deal with left. He's like, you bitch. I think that's the ultimate sign of disrespect. He's like, I had to parade you around on my arm. It's going to cost you $50 million for that. And now she looks like this.
Yeah, I'm telling you, like I keep saying, things are never going to be fair for men. So feminism is women pushing for their lives to be just as unfair for them as it is for men. So you're going to see more women just taking L's, dude. Just L after L. So you're going to see more of these women marrying men with less than them. And I know that men don't normally put their baby's mother on child support, but they better start filing alimony, guys. Get that alimony at least. I say get the child support too, but definitely get the alimony. Come on now.
I just can't believe she did that to him. She was so beautiful back in the day. And what a fat grenade, man. Like, look at her on the left. Like, she was beautiful. And I mean, okay, she was a 6, but she was a very strong 6, all right?
Look at Adele's divorce.
All right, love your stuff. Heard you're monetized again, so I thought I'd donate. Thank you. We are monetized again, guys. I really would love to hear your experience with prenups. Are they that rare? Nobody knows anybody that had an experience. No one's on the call.
Here, so I'm gonna let him in.
Okay, cool.
Okay, it says iPhone. It doesn't have a name, but Sounds connecting. Connecting to audio. Which is his iPhone.
I wonder if I know anybody that had a prenup.
Yeah, I just know that one guy I told you about. But he told the girl in college, look, man, I'm signing a prenup. All right, iPhone, are you there? Hello?
Oh, do you know what? Do you know anyone
iPhone.
who had a prenup?
Are you there? Hello?
Did it work?
iPhone going
If
once.
so, we're live. You
iPhone's
should call
going twice.
in.
All right, I'm going to put you back in the waiting room then, since you're not there. Guys, make sure to like the stream, please.
Let me
And make sure to
see.
subscribe, because we are 1,500 away from 2 million.
Yeah, we're
2
so
million.
close.
So make sure to like, subscribe. We have a lot of good content coming up. Pro did a bunch of really good sit downs. You see some up already, but there's a couple of new ones coming. So stay tuned for that.
You felt bad when that doctor lady was mean to me. It's all right. I can take it. I wonder if prenups will be another. Okay. By the way, guys, if you go to the Audacity site and you go on the live stream there, I do unlimited super chats.
The divorce settlement for Adele reportedly involved a substantial financial payout to her ex-husband, with reports suggesting figures ranging from $171 million to $180 million.
Oh, that is such an L.
That's what I'm talking about. Let's go. We're gonna let in Jacob. Jacob, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
How you doing, buddy?
I'm all right.
Oh my gosh. Sorry. Hey, how's it going?
It's all right.
Hold on.
So, what do you think about this whole prenup thing?
Yeah,
Jacob?
sorry.
Actually, I have a friend of mine who told me about a prenup that saved him on his first marriage. He was on his second wife. And he told me a few good pieces of advice. He said, look, get everything that you want before you get married, which I heard from a lot of people. Do whatever you want, before you get married and have to settle down. The other piece of advice was to get a prenup. He was telling me he was on his first wife, actually. He got divorced. She, of course, filed on him. She completely forgot about the prenup they signed. She takes him to court, says, I want the house. I want half your paycheck every week. He tells me I didn't say a word. Smiled, handed the judge the prenup. Judge looks at it, looks at her, holds it up. Is this your signature? Yeah. Okay, because according to this, you don't want anything. Oh, well, you see, no, case dismissed. And he said the kicker is he's on his second wife now.
Mm-hmm.
The second wife has cancer. So imagine how awful that would be, having to pay money to his ex-wife while helping his current wife fight cancer. So prenups do work. They will save you. So big piece of advice. Another friend of mine actually was with a girl for a while. They were living together. It got to the point where it was, okay, get married or break up. My friend says, okay, we get married, we're going to have a prenup. She says, oh, no, if I ever divorced you, I wouldn't want your money. He said, do you get the point of a divorce? They're going to want to kill me if we get divorced. She said, oh, okay, you're right. They go to a lawyer. They sit down. Okay, if we get divorced, we go our separate ways. You get nothing from me. I get nothing from you. She says, I don't know if I can sign this. Says, okay, we're done. Oh, we're going to still be together, right? No, we're done. Move out. We're done. We're not getting together. We're not getting married. If you don't want to sign a prenup, we're done. So you do have to ask for them. Now, in fairness, Neither one of my friends had kids. That can complicate it.
Mm-hmm.
But I guess the key is to have a no contest or no reopener clause in there. Or if you have kids or not, whatever the circumstances, it is what it is. Prenup, kids or not, you go your separate ways. So get them. Me and my brother, actually, he's on his second wife, or going to be. We sat down, did our wills, because he has a bunch of kids. And he asked the lawyer, do you do prenups? Because I'm going to get married to my baby mama. Like, yeah, we do. So, okay, he's going to get that done on his second wife, which he didn't have on his first wife, which did hurt him substantially.
Mm-hmm.
But prenups also save marriages, but they're definitely a good idea. Get them done, inquire to them. If a girl does not want them, that tells you a lot.
What state was your friend in that it worked?
We're all in New York State.
Okay, cool.
So I know states are different, obviously, but for a few $100, it's worth a shot. Test the girl. Say, look, do you love everything about me, or just love my money or my potential money? So that's the key.
I have a question, Jacob. So how many times have you been married?
0.
Okay, but you said your brother got married twice?
He got married, got divorced. He's got his new fiance. They've got 2 kids. He had 2 from his first marriage, but he wants a prenup before he marries his second wife here.
And then you said you had another friend that was on his second marriage too, right?
Yeah, his first wife, they had no kids, signed a prenup. She dragged him to court. Prenup saved him. Second wife, okay. She'll probably recover. She has cancer, but imagine that. I got to help my current wife fight cancer and giving money to my ex-wife. Just imagine the awfulness of that.
Why do these guys get married again if it didn't work out the first time? What have they ever said why they've gotten married twice?
That's a good question. I know statistics are that second marriages fail more than first marriages.
Yeah.
I do have an uncle on his second marriage, actually his first wife, because at my brother's marriage, his first marriage, we sat together at the table. He told me all about it. He's like, you never met my first wife, did you? I said, no. He's like, she left me. Our son was 1 year old. She couldn't settle down. She just abandoned me and him, moved across the country. But he met his second wife. They got married. They're together like 40 some years. They had another kid. So second marriages can work. I've heard the term starter marriages. I've had a lot of people I've known who've been married a couple of years, maybe a kid, no kid, get divorced, whatever, and go on, meet someone, and it does work out on the second time. So, yeah, I mean, that'd be awful enough. Our parents are divorced. I mean, half the people I know are divorced, which it happens, but just a friend of mine had the prenup, and other friend was going for one, and girl didn't want it, so he ended that. So yeah, why do people want to get married twice? I don't know. I've had friends married 3 times. They tell me not to get married. I'm like, Tom, you've been married 3 times. You're telling me not to get married? Come on.
Cool. Well, thanks for calling in, Jacob. We really appreciate it, man. Thanks
for calling in.
All right, no problem.
Red Pill Freedom says, even with a prenup, I would never get married. As Paul Elam once pointed out, it takes longer to draft a prenup than it takes for judges to wipe his butt with it. Well, it saved this guy. I'm not saying it'll work or not work. I don't know. You got to research your state.
Yeah, RJ Isaac is connected. His audio. Go ahead.
Okay. No, that's it.
RJ Isaac, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Hey, how's it going?
Hey, it's going well. How about yourself?
Good. What state are you calling out of?
Not in the United States.
Okay, cool. Like Europe, Asia?
Latin America.
Oh, Latin America. Okay. You sound American. Did you go from?
Yeah.
Have you called them before?
Yes, I have.
Okay, I think I recognize. I can't see the video right now, but I recognize your voice. So do you know anyone that's had a prenup, and how did it work for them?
No, I don't know anyone who's had a prenup. I am married and I have not had a prenup.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm more here to address the question of, do I think prenups are a good idea? Because, I don't have the experience with the firsthand of someone having a prenup.
Cool.
And so I think that prenups are a good idea, even if they don't work in the end, as a way of filtering out a potential spouse, where if you say, let's get a prenup, and she says, great, I want to add in all these additional things, and like that one girl in the video shared earlier in the video, that would be a really good indication of what kind of person she is. And if she's resistant about it, or saying, like, if you write up a fair agreement and then she's having cold feet about signing and saying, oh, my parents said I shouldn't do this, or my pastor said I shouldn't do this, those sorts of things, I think that would be a really good indication that it would not be a good marriage. So for that purpose alone, I think that they're beneficial. However, I think the problem is that the people who need it the most are the people who are not going to get it. And what I mean by that is, I would consider myself to be a recovering simp, to be quite frank. I was the church-going nice guy kind of person, and I've learned a lot over the past 11 years. But that's the context I'm coming from, and I know for a fact that when I got married, if someone's told me, hey, you should really get a prenup, I know that, you may not be thinking about this right now because, you're in love with her and you should go get married, I would have said, no way, I don't believe in divorce. That's never going to happen. And it hasn't happened. But I know for a fact that I would not have done that. And I think these kind of people, the person I was at that time, is someone who actually is most susceptible to getting divorced, rape, and those kind of really bad outcomes that can happen from that.
Got it. But you don't know anyone personally that's had one. Yeah,
no.
I think you're completely right, though. When a guy is blue-pilled, you can't talk him into getting a prenup. There's no way. Doug MPA, you got anything to add? Are you gone? We lose him?
It looks like he's muted.
Oh, Doug MPA, I think you're muted. Well,
sorry about that. Yeah. I mean, every time RJ calls in, he makes sense, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Also, actually, one of our points I will say it as well. So another big challenge, though, is that attorneys and getting a well-drafted one that's going to hold up are also very expensive. And the people, again, I got married when I was 24 years old. So I was rather young at the time. There's no way I could have even afforded an attorney to go and draft one that would have any confidence of actually being
they say that
held
the
up
average
as well.
price is like $2,500, but I think a good one probably costs double that, maybe.
Well, and this is one of the challenges. So there was a situation. So my wife, she's an immigrant, and we had ran into some legal challenges with her immigration after we got married, and we tried going through. We ended up having to hire a immigration attorney, which was went for someone else, just someone we could afford, some very cheap. Things dragged on for years, and nothing happened. Things were just getting worse. In the end, we ended up going with an attorney that was much more expensive, someone that we had to borrow money from family to be able to afford, but it was like she was going to court that day, so either we paid now or she just went with no representation. And we hired this expensive attorney for it, and the expensive attorney got everything cleaned up within a month or so. And so, and this is the unfortunate reality, is that it's the expensive attorneys, the ones that are actually going to give you an effective prenup that's going to work. And again, if you're just starting out in life and you just don't have the, sure, you might have $2,500 for it, but if it's going to be anything beyond that, again, I haven't had experience, so maybe I'm just totally off on that. But that'd be my only other thought on this, is just the cost is going to be something that is going to be prohibitive for a lot of people.
Yeah.
Okay.
Those are good points. Thanks for calling in.
Yep. Call in anytime.
Yeah, please do. Call in again.
All right, we have up next is Dash. Are you there? Dash, you're on mute. Dash, are you there? Dash going once. Dash going twice. Dash going 3 times. I'm putting you back in the waiting room. So I'll try to get you next, Dash, but you're on mute.
Let me see if there's any things on the website.
We're gonna do
I'm sending this to a few people I know that might have input.
Adam, aka Wingus.
Hello. Hello.
Hey Adam, how's it going?
It's going very well. It's wonderful to talk to you.
You too. Where are you calling from?
I am from, I'm calling from Charlotte, North Carolina.
Cool. Have you gotten a prenup, or do you know anyone that has?
Personally, from my life experience, my father and mother divorced.
Mhm.
And, you know, when they did, my father did not get a prenup. And I was an orphan growing up. I was raised in the church. And I think in many ways, I think that was a mistake. I think the way that a financial obligation was shifted onto my father, I think he couldn't really handle it. It was kind of detrimental to his masculinity personally. That's what I witnessed. We don't talk much anymore. But yeah, I don't know. I think different people have different life circumstances and formative experiences leading to certain, I suppose, ideological lenses. But in my opinion, I don't think the government should be at all involved in marriage traditionally in any way.
Mhm.
I think it's not very rational, personally.
And would you get married with a prenup? Would you consider it?
You know, I don't want to sit there and make it into a, you know, measuring my accomplishments kind of thing.
Mhm.
But personally, I would say I would not even get married with a prenup. I don't think I would ever get the state involved with my marriage personally. You know, and I think it's tough because a lot of the settlements that emerge from a divorce are based on percent of income. And if a person, regardless of gender, I think has sat there and acquired wealth after so many years, it should be theirs. It should go to the children first, and it being distributed from a male to a female through some either alimony or child support structure. I just think that's not, it just seems profane spiritually to me,
Mhm.
personally.
Got it. Or would you consider getting married at all? Or
I would say I don't have any, I think what goes on, I live in the city.
Mhm.
It gets very violent sometimes. And I think that's formed my character recently. I've walked away from a lot of fights. I think people have a sense of self from blood lineage, and that's fine.
Mhm.
I respect that boundary. And then some people, they'll sit there and say, oh, well, if you don't want to reproduce, you're an incel or
Mhm.
some other derogatory. And it seems to vacillate between those archetypes, incel and blood lineage epistemology. And in my opinion, I would say getting married is a personal decision. It's a personal decision. And as a person who likes the New Testament and enjoys ministry, I see it as a deeply intimate decision that's made before a person and God. And that is my perspective from my lived experience.
Cool. Well, thanks for calling in. Doug MPA, you got anything?
Nope, I do not. Thank you.
Yeah, call in any.
Adam.
Yeah, call in any time.
Okay, thank you.
Sorry, Doug. Didn't mean to overtalk you there.
Oh no. That's I didn't have anything to say.
Okay.
Let in. Is it Mr. J?
What's going on, Mr. J?
Hey.
He's been in Twitter Spaces. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good, Pearl. How are you?
Good. Tell me, do you know anyone that's had a prenup, or have you yourself had one?
Yes. My young.
You gotta turn off the audio in your background.
Hey, my bad. I got background noise. My fault.
How are you?
I'm good. I'm good, Pearl. How are you?
Good. Tell me, do you know anyone that's had a prenup, or have you yourself had one?
Yes. my young.
You gotta turn off the audio in your background.
Yeah. Hold on. Mr. J, you know he's trying to learn all this stuff like you got. Hold on, I got you.
Do you know anyone that's had a
All right, Mr. J, when you're ready, unmute because the feedback sounded terrible. So we want to hear from you, but make sure to unmute because it was just looping over and over and over again. So I muted you, but if you want to come back in, unmute.
Do you want to bring up Terrence while he figures out his audio?
Yeah, I'll do that.
All right.
Feedback sounded terrible.
All right. How about now?
No, it's still going.
Yeah.
Yeah, just cut him out till he figures it out. Well, we're gonna bring you on in like 5 minutes.
Until I figure it out.
Yeah, guys, make sure your audio is not playing in the background. Terrence Pop is back today.
He's connecting to audio. Guys, make sure to like the stream, share the video, subscribe. We are close to 2 million. So help us get to that goal.
Yeah, we're getting real close.
Terrence Pop in the house. How you doing, friend?
What's up, brother?
Terrence, how are you?
I'm doing all right. I was at the gym.
Of course. Did you have a good session or what?
I got to run off my old fat gut. That's about it.
Happens to the best of us.
So enlighten us about this whole prenup thing. Because, like I was saying, well, Prosa and the opening monologue, you know, the trad cons are trying to, you have religious people trying to sell, well, get married, but all you have to do is get a prenup. It's like, what? So now you have religious trad cons saying, hey, guys, all you have to do to get married is get a prenup. Just go for it, bro. Go for it. So can you just spell this prenup garbage for us, please?
20% of prenups shot down like a Japanese zero. The other 80% that make it to the end, I would say 10 to 15% of the time there are clauses or things that are removed from the prenup because it's not fair and what have you. So, I mean, I've talked to probably a couple dozen guys who had prenups and they got shot down because they went in front of the wrong judge and they lost their asses. Because a prenup, it literally is dependent upon the judge you go before. And if he doesn't like prenups or she doesn't like prenups, and they just throw them out.
Yeah, and what percent of judges are now female?
I don't.
I'm about to. I'm googling it. I'm just curious. Now, one third of judges are female. So
Great.
there's going to be more and more female judges to take women's side.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, we're 44% of the Supreme Court. Hell is frozen over. Oh my gosh, 41% of federal judges are women. 34% of state judges. Oh my gosh.
Yep.
Oh God, help us.
That's why men aren't getting married.
Let's just hope you don't get a woman on her period that day.
Yeah, and the trad cons out there, like I ripped on Nagy Beard, Matt Walsh. I've ripped on Crowder, and what's his name, Ben Shapiro. And I agree with a lot of what they have to say, but I am not a fan of a man getting married today based on the laws that are just absolutely out of fucking control. There's no accountability for the judges. You have lawyers lying on the regular to make about abuse and what have you, so these women get the automatic wins. And even if you complain to the bar, they rarely do anything about it. I mean, it's a shit show.
What do you think about? They often cite stats that prenups are like 90% effective.
Bullshit.
Okay, yeah. you just don't think the studies are honest.
Well, from my research, 80% of them are effective to a degree. 20% of them are thrown out.
Okay.
And the 80% that make it to the end are literally they remove clauses and parts from the prenup because it's not fair or what have you.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I mean, there's all kinds of bells and whistles. Like she has to have her own attorney. You have to have your own attorney. You got to go through everything. It's just a nut roll, and it's not worth it.
Nice. So the guys that you said that got prenups and they got thrown out, what states were they in?
Well, let's see. Several that were in New York State. One was actually in Florida, which really shocked me. A couple in Colorado, a large majority in California, one in Washington State, and that's all I can remember. It's usually the blue states are the worst.
I mean, that's a given.
And so what happened? Can you tell me like a story for one of them that happened? Like what?
Yeah, okay. The guy was married for about 11 years. This is in New York State. 3 kids. He was working. I think he was a brewer. I don't remember the beer company he worked at. But he was, he was a lead brewer, so he was making about 120-ish a year with overtime and his compensation package. Had a prenup. And literally, they're like, okay, they basically threw out a major section of the prenup. And then the soon-to-be ex-wife was making up the difference in child support and alimony.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I don't think he got hit with lifetime alimony. I don't remember, but I think it was like 7 years. And his kids, I think the oldest kid was like 8 or 9 at the time. Now, this is a while ago. And, in New York State, you have to pay child support up until the kid's 21. And if the kid goes to college, you have to pay for that too. So he got crushed. He lost, he had a pretty big house. He lost that. He lost a car, half his retirement, just absolutely crippled him. It took him about 5-7 years to recover and basically start over.
Mm-hmm.
And that dude's never getting married again. She played all kinds of games with his kids. And, I mean, there's never any repercussions for women that do that. On average, you have to go to court 5 times if you're denied visitation before she gets a warning, and 3 to 5 more times after that before the judge actually does anything about it. And each time you go to court, that's a 6 to 8 week wait. So that's 2 years you have to wait around for the judge to actually punish the mother of the child.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Yeah, it's a clusterfuck. And I really get mad at these trad cons like, yeah, just have a prenup, get married. Man up and get married. Prove you're a man. And like, fuck off. I'm sick and tired of these guys like getting married and then committing suicide when they get railroaded by the system and their ex-wives. And even if they do pay the child support and they jump through all the hoops, they're still called a deadbeat because there's only 24 hours in a day.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. You want to stay on and take a
Oh yeah, I'll take questions. I mean, I have no problem.
Someone asked, what if they put the assets in their parents' name? Have you seen anyone does that work?
To an extent, but it has to be done, like, I think 24, 36 months prior to the divorce is filed. Otherwise, they have a case to claw that shit back.
Mm.
Yeah, I have a strategy. I tell guys to use the GA and NA strategy. That's Gamblers Anonymous, Alcohol Anonymous, and Narcotics Anonymous. If they don't have any kids.
Mm-hmm.
That way, 6 months out, you join AA, and then you go to a few meetings, and then you start having some rough patches. Then you go to the casino, and you take a bunch of money out of the bank in cash and give it to a buddy of yours to hold it. And then if they what happened to the money? As long as it's done before the divorce is final, you can say I have a gambling habit, or I'm an alcoholic. And
That's actually pretty good.
That's pretty smart.
Okay.
She's like, I've never seen you drink. Here's the AA meeting.
That's right.
But I've never seen you gamble. I kept it hidden. I was
do that all the
embarrassed.
time. Women are voracious gamblers.
Oh my gosh.
Dash,
We
are you
gamble on men constantly with the drug dealers and criminals that we date. Sorry, who's next?
Dash, are you there? Letting you back in, bud. You're in the chat saying that you're off mute. I have you here. Dash. Dash going once. Dash going twice. One more second. All right, buddy. I'm putting you back in there. Putting you back in the waiting room.
We try.
All right, let's go to Scott. 1 second. Scott is coming in. Just joining. Give it a second.
So is this show strictly on prenups?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I wanted to see people's experience because you always get more than the stats will tell you. Like, I just thought it was so convenient. They always quote stats that are from lawyers' offices. So I'm like, if I was a lawyer's office, I would say, yeah, they're like 90% effective. Yeah, pay me $5,000.
You cannot find independent stats on prenups. And the stats I have are from my own research that I did when I was going through my divorce and then about a year and a half after.
Okay. Scott, how you doing, buddy?
How you guys doing?
Hey, Scott, how are you?
I'm doing great.
So
it's an honor to be on your show with the wonderful Terrence Pop.
Yeah, he's a legend, isn't he?
Legend.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I haven't had any experience with prenups personally, but I grew up in California and went to private schools, and it was very common for all of my friends' parents to have prenups. And you don't really talk about that a whole lot when you're little kids, but when people get divorced, it does come up. And I have never once ever heard a story where the dad was like, thank God for that prenup. That shit held up solid. Never. So, I mean, 100% of the time, it was a fucking disaster. It's one of those like misconceptions that people have where you would expect that you put this legal document together and everybody has this agreement. And then when you go to court, it's a pretty black and white situation. But like Terrence was saying, that's not the case whatsoever. And like Paul Elam says, you know, these documents are just a starting point. So when you go and sit in the courtroom in front of the judge, now you have some piece of, like, there's one brick on your side that you can start to build a foundation with, but that's all it is. It's not like you actually have like a solid game plan. And they can do whatever they want. I have a personal history in courtrooms in California. I've been in like close to 50 court appearances on various cases. I was a fucking wild man when I was young. And much like you'll learn that law enforcement doesn't actually have to know the law. They don't actually have to follow the law most of the time.
So can you define savage when you were young? Were you like savage, like you were slinging seed like an old bird feeder? Or were you savage for like fighting all the time, doing crazy shit?
Yeah, I was getting in a lot of fights. I got in a lot of fights, and I also had like criminal history where I was involved in like massive weed growing operations before it was even legal. And so like I got busted by the feds in 2010 and spent years going to court. I had the longest open court case that didn't go to trial in the state of California that did not include a dead body.
Oh, wow. Well,
like,
it's good to have goals, brother.
if you're gonna swing at a pitch, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Take a fucking swing at it.
You're gonna be remembered for something when you leave this earth, so that's a plus.
Well, and now I'm just like a normal tax-paying, outstanding, citizen that goes to bed early and doesn't do anything. I don't even speed. I'm so like traumatized from being dragged through courtrooms. But all that to say, the judges can really be very flexible. And so like what Pearl said about if you get a female judge that isn't really sympathetic to your, position of trying to cut your soon to be ex-wife out of your fortune or whatever, you're cooked.
Yeah, and good luck trying to appeal that too.
Yeah, no, that ain't happening.
Yep.
And they rotate judges. People, you're not going to be able to go back to the same judge and plead your case like.
Oh, because the someone that drafted it, like, might be a different one later.
Right.
Yep.
I did hear one guy. I think there's a guy that's made the rounds on some podcasts maybe in the last 6 to 8 months, who's like a dad from, I believe, Texas, who's gone through a divorce, and his ex-wife is trying to turn his young son into a transformer.
Yeah. He came on. Yeah, he came on.
Okay, I might have seen him on your show, but he made a point about getting a prenup where you have this woman sign off her rights to your children, even though you guys don't even have any children yet or whatever.
That will never stand up in court.
That's what I was thinking. But if there's a starting point you want to start at, if you're going to get married, first of all, don't ever get married.
Yes.
Don't do it. Absolutely not. I've been married twice. It was a complete disaster both times.
So you threw yourself 2 flying crossbody cock blocks.
He got a born again too. He called him that.
I got married when I was 21, and then I got married again when I was 42.
All right.
And both marriages lasted less than 2 years. So like I had a 20-year stretch where I was just hitting home runs constantly, and then I fucking blew it, man.
Well, at least you learned now.
I mean, nobody's perfect, right?
Yeah.
I won't get married again. You know what I mean? Like, I definitely won't get married again, but I can see why people do it. And I think I saw your show with Andrew Wilson, Pearl, maybe, what was it, like a couple weeks ago?
Yeah.
And I thought that was great. I found myself agreeing with both of you because, like, my super hardcore Christian childhood upbringing wanted me to align with the things that Andrew was saying about, like, we want to not just watch the house burn down and say, oh, the house is burning, you got to do something about it. And I agree with that. But I thought you were 100% when you were telling them, like, hey, man, you're not really answering my questions here. You're kind of beating around the bush. And
he just saying, just do it, bro. Just do it.
Yeah, he was kind of sliding. And I thought it was great that you kind of called him out on that. So
they just want to go back to like history and stuff, like stuff that happened like 100 years ago. Like, what am I supposed to?
It's
it's
cooked. It's over.
Yeah, it's
cooked. And that time's never coming back, man.
No.
Or the whole virtuous woman argument. I was telling Pro, I said, what? First off, women they agreed that there's a small percentage of virtuous women, and then what incentive do women have to be virtuous and stay virtuous? And also, behavior. Women are rewarded for not acting in a virtuous manner now.
Right.
And also, one last piece: women reserve the right to change their mind about anything in the Western society, and everyone has to deal with it. Everybody.
Yep.
They can change their mind about anything at any time.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
And what I've found is the more I've understood women's true nature, the more I don't hate them for what the things that they do.
No.
It's like, I don't resent them for the things that they do. Once you understand what's going on, and like there's a very kind of sad dynamic where most women, almost all, not all, but like almost all of them, really don't like themselves.
Mm-hmm.
And it can be really dangerous to align yourself with somebody like that and allow them to have any kind of influence over your situation legally in the United States of America. It's a massive fucking L. There's, as much as you might want to be like an honorable dude that gets married and has a family and everything, have a family. Don't get married.
Yeah.
Have a family where like you have an arrangement that you can manage, but you can't let her move in your house. You can't get married. You can't go getting some kind of marriage at the church without the state involved, thinking that that's going to be a solution that's like a step above a normal state sanctioned marriage. You're fucking tripping if you think any of that shit's going to work. That is some soft ass, weak ass, living in la la land delusional bullshit. You cannot play that game anymore in our country. And maybe in the future things change. I hope the same things that Andrew Wilson hopes. Maybe 10, 20, 30, 50, 75 years from now, like men will have a much more favorable legal standing or whatever needs to fucking happen. But I don't imagine any of that going down in any of our lifetimes. And
it would take a civil war
like
for
what
women
Paul said
to give
when
up
she was talking to
power.
Andrew.
Yeah.
Like you said, you're I forget exactly what you said, but it was something along the lines of like, this shit's really gonna have to get bad and kind of burn.
Well, if a child is taking something for granted, you take it away from them, and women are taking men for granted, so men are just going to have to take themselves away.
That's right.
We got a super chat saying prenups are worthless. Get an irrevocable trust. Does that work, Terrence?
Yes and no.
Okay, go ahead.
Well, I mean, Robin Williams did that because he was paying like somewhere close to $2 million a year to do 2 different ex-wives for permanent alimony. And he was getting older. And he literally put all his shit in an irrevocable trust for his children just to protect money for them. And that's pretty much the only way that's going to happen. Typically, now I'm not an attorney, but you could try some of that irrevocable trust stuff. If it didn't exist before the marriage, more than likely they will penetrate it and rip it up. It's very common for judges to pierce the corporate veil, to break all kinds of other laws in regards to banking and what have you on the regular, and they get away with it because they have immunity.
Matt says modernity has exposed women's true nature: non-virtuous, non-monogamous, murderous, and manipulative. History was wrong on its portrayal of women as different.
Well, I mean, if you look in the Bible, all of the holy books, not just the Bible or the Quran or the Torah, they all warn you about women's nature.
Right.
All right, Scott, we're going to move on to the next caller.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks for calling, Scott.
Call on anytime, okay?
Yeah, pleasure as always.
I think we have a woman on the line here. Let me see. Sorry, everyone.
Impossible.
Let's see if this is Alexia. Are you there? Alexia? You're on mute?
She's on mute.
Alexia?
Make sure you guys are unmuting and turning off the sound in the background.
Alexia, are you there? Alexia going once. Alexia going twice. Alexia going 3 times. I'm going to put you back in the waiting room, but I'm going to bring you back up next after the next person, so get off mute. Okay, we're going to go back and then we're going to go to nevermarried.com after that. Mr. J, what's up, buddy?
Hold on. What's going on? Am I still getting feedback? Y'all got me?
Yeah, now you're good.
All right. I apologize. I'm glad y'all let me back. What's up?
What's your experience with prenups? Have you had one, or do you know anyone that had one?
Yeah, I definitely know one person that had one. Actually, he was my mentor. He was actually a professor at University of Penn. I live down here in the New York, New Jersey, Pennsylvania area, and he actually he how can I put this? He wasn't really he was very smart, very astute guy, but he wasn't really pleasing to the eye. But the woman that he picked was bad. So he at least was smart enough to know, yeah, maybe I should get this prenup. And he would talk to me about it, and I was like, listen, Mr. J was in the streets at the time. So I was like, well, I think you should protect yourself, because I'm looking at him like, yeah, I'm looking at you. She got, you know what I mean, light brown eyes. She got the hair.
It's not making sense, huh?
Yeah, that a bad chick. So, and he was, like, he was a really good dude, stand-up guy. He passed away. I'm not going to, say his name, but, shouts out to him. He was a good mentor for Mr. J when he was in college, kept me on the straight and narrow. But what happened was he got the prenup after the marriage. Ooh. And when he did that, when he went to the, to the judge after they was getting a divorce, the judge basically told him that everything that he had before, he possibly could claim, but anything that he had after they got married, that was, community property, I guess, so to speak. So what he did was, like I guess the guy earlier said, did, he was kind of smart, and I didn't know he did this. He put most of the stuff in his sister's name. I think she's still alive. And once he passed away, that his ex-wife took her to court and kept trying to get the money or whatever. And I don't know if that really is foolproof, but that was the best way, because he was smart enough to know he was, outside of his game. He was, shooting out his league. So he decided, okay, I know this is a pretty chick. I know I'm not a pretty dude. I know I'm not an attractive dude, but I got money. So I'm a high value man, however they like to say it. And basically what happened was his wife and the kids got nothing, and his sister's living, great right now. So I mean, I'm not saying like, that's what you should do, because I heard the other guy saying, you shouldn't get married. Now, he got remarried. So, and even though he said it was like, a couple months or whatever, I don't know after I got divorced if I would ever get remarried, because it's like, the stuff that she took from me wasn't just financial. She took something from me, like a piece of me. Mm-hmm. And when I say that, it's like, okay, I understand you're on some funky ass shit. Maybe I'm on some funky ass shit, but we have children. We have a house. We have a life built together. And she was just willing to blow it the hell up. And I was like, And I'm going to be honest with you, Mr. J is not a crier, but Mr. J went to work 2 days, and cried his ass off. But I didn't cry for her because I knew she was funky. I cried because she was blowing my family up, or our family. I'm not gonna say mine, like women do. Women get real selfish with my baby, my this, my that. She was blowing the family up. So I'm like, all right, and we have an autistic son. And it was like, bro, he need help. He's on the, he's on the high end, low end. I don't know what it is. He's functional, but he still needs somebody to take care of him. And for her to just roll out on us. I mean, she's flat out rolled and left us. Like she went to go have another life, and it was just me and my son. And I was like, well, he needs you. And that's what made me, I already knew women were selfish, but that really took a whole lot out of me. I was like, wow. Like,
the sad part about it is all you hear are stories of how, especially us black men, abandon their kids, and they don't want to. But I'm telling you, we don't hear enough stories like the one that you're talking about. There are too many women who just duck out and leave. And then the worst part about it is they're fully entitled to try to come back. Watch. Give her. Huh?
She tried. Like she's seeing me doing this thing and shout. And thank you, Pearl, because I told her, I said, listen, you're leaving a bad motherfucker. I'm getting ready. I don't know if I can curse, but you're leaving a bad man. I'm getting ready to get on, with this podcast stuff, and I guarantee you I'll make it. So appreciate to you, Pearl, because She been seeing me like earlier. My son had orientation for he's going to high school, and she took him to orientation. I was on with y'all on Twitter, and when she came in, she saw me, and I was like, "Look, you see her? Remember I used to watch her on TV? I'm talking to her live now." So yeah. So then she looked and she like, "Yeah." I'm like, "Yeah, I told you." So appreciate you, Pearl, because women. One thing I've noticed.
Do you want me to give her a shout out? Do you have like a message you want me to say to her?
Right, shouts out to my ex, Erica Hernandez. Erica Michelle Hernandez. That's her. I mean, hola, ma. Yeah. I gave a shout out. She gonna be mad.
I was thinking I want to start giving what's it called where people pay you to make videos and I can give a shout out to your ex-wife. I'll be
Cameo.
Yeah, Cameo, and I could be like,
Cameo.
I heard you sucked as a wife. I heard you didn't clean, you didn't cook. You didn't even. I heard you were bad in bed, and I just want you to know he's doing. Yeah, I was like, I just want you to know he's doing younger, hotter, and better. Have a good day.
I appreciate it. That's good stuff.
I was like, I could do a cameo like that. Go ahead.
If you was to do that, that would be great. Because, like I said, she's seen you. Like, she's heard you, and she has the that woman. What is she talking about? I don't like when women that denigrate other women. And I'm like, she's telling the truth. So you're mad because she's a woman and she's telling the truth, and that would really blow her mind. I'm telling you, that would really blow her mind if I was like, there she go. Remember her? She'd be like, is that her for real? Yes. Say hi, Pearl. And she, oh my God, that would be one of the best things ever. That would make my.
What'd you say her first name was?
Erica.
Erica. I just want you to know, Mr. J is doing better. He's on the podcast now, and he's dating younger, hotter, and better in bed than you. So I'm very sorry you took an L on this one. He's gonna go on to do bigger and better things. You can clip it.
And also,
well, that's hang on. That's a common thing that happens with exes. Very few of them do better down the road. I mean, whenever I get a story on my show, somebody talking about an ex, I'm like, what happened to her? And 80% of the time, they don't level up, and literally they wind up in a very, very bad situation down the road.
Well, definitely. Well, for me,
also tell her.
Okay.
Tell her that your son is going to grow up and know who the hero is and who the villain is.
He
How
does,
it always works.
Because
I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, because right now we're dealing with that dynamic. Because like I said, he just turned 14 4 days ago. And she doesn't understand the dynamic that we had before that when we was all together. But now that you left us, I mean, she rolled out and left us for 2 years. Like, we didn't know who the fuck this motherfucker was, honestly. And the fact that the bond that we had, because he was watching me like, damn, going through it, but Dad's still holding it down. And it's like I said, my leg was broke, but I'm still holding it down. He has autism. I still got to make sure that he eat every once in a while. Let me tell you the most humiliating thing that happened to me with her. Mr. J broke his, she said I'm out, and Mr. J had gotten in a car accident and broke his leg, and he couldn't get to the bathroom to get a basin to wash himself. So I had to beg her. I mean, literally beg her to come and help me. She got mad at my son because my son, he has the phone, and I'm his favorite character. So I was crashing out, and I'm like, yo, I've done everything for you. All I need you to help me do is get a basin. You know what I'm saying? And maybe wash my back. You can't even do that for me. And I was cussing her out, and he has autism, so everything went into his head and it came out verbatim. So he was walking up and down the hallway, like cussing her out, but it was, through my voice, and she heard it. And that was like, and she still to this day, she says, can you not really have discussions around your son or our son, because he still says things verbatim that you say to me. And I was like, I can't control what he says. He hears what he hears, and he knows what he knows. He knows you rolled out, and it was just us guys. and the cat, which I hate. I hate the cat. I'm sorry, I'm not a Mr. J. Is not a
I
pet
hate
guy.
cats too. Don't feel bad.
Yeah. So it was just us guys, me, him, and the cat. And you know, once I got to the point where my leg wasn't broken no more, I could move around. I was cool, but the funkiness of this woman, like, and I hate to put this. All right, so after she left Mrs. J, she wound up with breast cancer. How about that? How about that?
That's a curveball. Wow.
Damn.
Right.
What
Right.
a
She
no.
ends up with breast cancer. This is a true story. So now, she doesn't really have anybody else. So I could be an asshole and be like, die, bitch. But I'm sorry. I didn't mean to say that. I did.
okay.
But I could have went that way, but we have children. So I want you to live because Mr. J lost his mom early, you know. I think did I graduate college yet? I'm not sure. I think I had just got out of college and, you know, Mrs. J, you know, God rest her soul, she had rolled out or whatever. So, you know, I understand having a mother. I'm like, all right, you're not being a mother right now, but they still need their mother. So you know, it was mentally exhausting for me because I'm looking at you like, bitch, but you still the mother of my children. So what do you need from me? And that was like really, really, really mentally taxing for me. And you know, this is probably the first time I've actually said this out loud because, you know, as much as Mr. J, you know, we talk on Twitter, likes to talk, my personal things I don't like because people like to use those against you, especially if you're popular. So, you know, like my first baby mom, she wanted to let everybody know that we was together. So she decided to, you know, just go out in the street and throw these, you know, tantrums and everything and, you know, try to make me come out of character. And I'm looking at her like, that's not me, but I understand what you're doing. You're trying to shit test with the other women and see how far I'm gonna go. I didn't go that far with her, so she felt some type of way. But
We're gonna,
so go ahead. I'm sorry.
We're gonna wrap it up because we have a couple more people on the.
I tend to dominate stuff. I appreciate
okay.
I appreciate you letting me in. And if you know, can I plug my show?
Go ahead.
Yeah, go
All
for
right.
it.
Erica, watch me work. Hello, y'all. I'm Mr. J. I'm the host of the Mr. J Experience. We come on every Friday, Saturday, and sometimes Sundays around 8 to 9 o'clock. You can like and subscribe my channel. All you got to do is see the Mr. J symbol, like and subscribe, and we talk about everything. Like Pearl is more red pill. Mr. J talks about black issues. I hate to say it like this, white issues, red pill, whatever I feel like. If I was drinking that day, you never know how I might come out. But anyway,
cool.
Pearl.
Thanks for calling in. Calling anytime, okay?
Call on anytime, buddy.
Thank y'all. Thank
you.
Much. All right.
Okay.
Yeah, if you guys do $100 super chat, I'll do whatever. I'll say whatever to your ex-wife. I'll tell her you're doing better. You can just screen record it and send it to her.
The best example. Never married. Are you there?
Yeah, I'm here. Yeah.
Hey, how's it going?
The best example is Bezos. Bezos' ex-wife is known for her philanthropy. All
With
she's
his
known
money.
for after leaving Jeff Bezos is giving away the billions of dollars that she got in divorce.
So brutal.
But never married, dating. How you doing, buddy?
I'm doing pretty good tonight. Second time calling in. Hope you don't mind me calling into your show. I love your show and follow you on X, Twitter. So I'm talking about prenups tonight and not saving marriages in general. People not getting married.
Did you have a prenup, or do you know anyone that's had one?
We don't. I haven't got any of our members have not told us that they had any prenups as yet. We have about 400 members on our website so far on Never Married Dating, and we encourage them to get prenups. It'd be helpful if they're going to contemplate, divorce. A lot of marriages do end in divorce, and but so many folks are not getting married right now. It's a record rate, and it's just people. Not Americans are less even likely to partner up or you even get married right now, partnership is at a general low. There was a social study survey given, and they said 30% of adults from 25 to 54 said they do not have a steady partner. So we're, seeing a trend that people are just not dating, let alone getting married. So it's an issue. I think people, you hear in the news, the birth rate is dropping. So that's an issue right there. So
if it really mattered to them, they'd change laws to prevent it, but they don't.
100% true.
Yeah, like change the laws for the prenup or the marriage in general.
Marriage in general.
Okay. Yep. Yeah, the some people actually, they even have, they don't do so much the common law marriage as much as they used to. Common law marriage, you don't have to get married, just hold yourself out as a couple married. In some states, they recognize that. It's called like common law marriage, just as a fact of the day. I'm not sure if you're familiar with common law marriage.
No, I've heard of it. I wonder how many states that's legal in.
It's about
6-ish.
About 6-ish right now.
I could be wrong. I don't remember that
Googling
stat.
it.
Got a
But it's not many.
It says 9.
Okay.
So you were close.
9. Yep.
What states are they? Oklahoma, Kansas, Iowa, District of Columbia, Colorado, Texas,
Colorado,
Utah.
Iowa,
What the hell, Texas?
Montana,
Oh wow.
New
Hampshire, Pennsylvania,
Oklahoma,
Ohio,
Rhode Island, Texas, Utah, and there's a couple of states that abolished common law marriage. Georgia, Idaho, Iowa, and Alabama. Well,
Yep. They need to get rid. I mean, they need to get rid of common law, across the entire nation.
yeah, I thought they probably should.
Yeah, and the marriage rate is between 5.1 and 6.3 out of 1,000, which is the lowest it's ever been since they started tracking that stat shortly after the Civil War.
I found a stat just recently. I was unaware of this stat. It says 26%. I'm reading it here online. It says 26% of Americans age 18 and up did not have sex once in the past 12 months. American adults said that didn't have sex from 2016. It was 23%. Now it's 26%. So I guess people aren't dating and they're not even getting married anymore. So according to that stat.
I'd say that's accurate. They're just getting they're getting ghosted by Chad. I had a guy on my show the other day. He said he goes through 100 girls a year.
Wow.
Whoa.
That's a little excessive.
Yeah.
Wow.
No. I saw him. I met him at a PUA boot camp. He brought home. I saw him bring home like 3 or 4 girls in a weekend. So he wasn't lying. I was like, Jesus Christ.
Oh.
Yeah. He says he ghosts like most of them.
Ghosting is awful.
No, it's not.
Doug is pro ghosting.
No, it's not. I'm pro ghosting, man. I'm telling you, ghost.
What is it?
You want to know why?
Is it better than It's better than hurting somebody's feelings, correct? It's better than just not hurting somebody's feelings. They don't want to hear.
No, he doesn't care about those.
Yeah, I don't care about that. Here's the thing: women feel entitled. Modern women feel entitled to everything in the modern day, but especially closure. They have to know why, and then part of the journey of a man is taking L's and accepting rejection. See, like I said before, feminism is women advocating for life to be just as unfair for them as it is for men. Who did we learn ghosting from? Women. Women want equality, so ghost them just like they ghosted you when they were young. Don't act like women are too good to be ghosted. They'll ghost you.
That's right.
Yeah.
Not only do they ghost you, but they basically depth charge your life and reputation at the same time.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Ghost.
Your
all's
experience
fair
there,
in love and wear, buddy. All's
I heard
fair.
your experience with the 2 wives that get married twice. That sounded like a quite experience, and a lot of people are going through that kind of experience. And it's just prenup should be accepted, and I think even if everybody gets one, like you're saying, the court won't accept all the conditions and statements in the prenup. So
yeah. Well,
Yeah,
thanks
that's
for your
why
input today.
Yeah, that's. Can I plug my the Never Married site a little for 5 seconds or something?
Sure.
Yeah, go ahead.
It's called Never Married Dating. It's 3 words, nevermarrieddating.com. And what I did is I created the website for people that are never married. And so if you don't ever want to get married, you can join it. Anybody's allowed to join it because in today's day and world, you can't discriminate. So anybody can join it. But I say it's the greatest source to find somebody that's never been married. It's called nevermarrieddating.com. So far, we have about 430 members that joined. And it's 100% free to join, so you don't pay for anything unless you want to send an email. So you can email and you can chat both. So
sure.
Awesome.
Thanks for calling in,
buddy.
Thank you.
Yep.
Have a
Crypt-
wonderful rest of the week. Thanks, bro.
You too. I would argue that corner prenups were a big I would argue Costner's prenup was a big W. Imagine what she would have walked away with without it.
Yeah, yep, it's true. She wanted to get to $240,000 a month.
Oh my gosh.
In alimony.
These women are
child
so
support. Insane. Okay, so we're letting in. It's Sagans, Sganhhs, Sagans. Give it a second. It's joining. Sagans, are you there? Sagans? It's Sganhhs. I don't know how to say that.
Yeah, you said it.
Hey, how's it going?
Right.
Where are you calling from?
New Jersey.
Cool. So, did you have a prenup, or you know someone with a prenup?
Your signal's weak. You're 2x5.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, there you are.
Okay. Sorry, I had to turn volume down. I personally have never been married. I tried to call on the show about the daughter subject. I was the one with the technical error. Pearl and I.
Oh, we need to redo that show, actually. But
anyway, so basically, I've been through the ringer of family court more times than I can count, and I've been.
Something's going on with your signal, buddy. We can barely hear you.
Me? Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
All right, so I've been through the ringer of family court, and I've sat there and been like the last in line to go in front of the judge. I've heard everything under the sun. I can say honestly, prenups are a waste of time because I've literally sat in front of the couple, with their lawyers on each side, talk before they even got in front of the judge, and they're like, to me, it sounded like a complete game plan written out, and they're like, okay, we're just going to go and get the judge to smash the gavel, and we're in it now. And then literally, I had to wait 4.5 hours.
Your signal is so bad.
Yeah, it's so bad.
We only hear you every other word. So I don't know if you want to come out and come back in or something, but we can only hear every other word. So I'm going to drop you out and maybe try coming back, okay? Okay.
I got the same problem with mine too. Every now and again, you get bad signals.
Then the last caller here, it just says Zoom user. So we'll see. It says Zoom user, you're muted.
Hi.
Uh-huh.
Hey, how's it going?
Good. How are you?
I'm good. What is your experience with prenups?
So I don't have any personal experience with prenups, but I wanted to give my female perspective. If I ever get married, I'm completely open to a prenup. I think for men these days, it's a good idea, but I would also expect some protections for myself in that prenup. And another thing I wanted to say is that I feel like one thing that's not mentioned here is the women that are forced to stay in marriages because of prenups. So, it could be viewed as a positive or however you want to look at it.
Wait, forced to stay into a marriage? How does that work?
Not forced, but they're, motivated. I'm not, I feel like some women choose not to leave their marriage, maybe if they otherwise would, because,
They don't want to like pay for their lifestyle that their husband pays for.
Yeah, and I'm not saying that's right or wrong, but I feel like people are saying prenups don't work, and if you want your marriage to stay together, then yeah, it might not work if you go to court. But I think no one's brought up the fact that there are women that will stay with you because there is a prenup in place.
So what?
Well, because of that, I do feel like it's a good idea. And do you think it's okay for like women to have protections within a prenup?
Yeah, if they both agree to it, sure.
Well, first of all, women enjoy a lion's share of protections from the courts, the legal system.
Media.
Virtually everything is to a woman's advantage in the current year.
And I completely agree. Like, I do think that courts do a lot of the times tend to favor women. So that's why I absolutely think it's a good idea. But,
So then what?
I don't understand how a woman, like, wouldn't you say that's just entitlement? That's like the girl wanting to have her cake and eat it too, if she's staying because her husband pays for her?
Yeah. I mean, like, I'm not saying that's ethical for a woman to do, but I feel like also on other episodes you've brought up like how women just leave because for frivolous reasons for their fitness partner, and if they have more to lose, it does in a way also have the effect of keeping the marriage together.
So you would argue that women have more to lose in marriage than men?
Oh, no, absolutely not. I'm just saying if there is a prenup in place, women do have more to lose. And I think that's also why, they're going to think twice.
I don't think they'll think twice if they want to leave.
Zach
says,
I've talked to guys who got divorced because their wives had bad dreams about them.
Zach, hold on, guys. I got to read a super chat. I'm the guy with the tech error while experiencing a tech error. Too funny. Shit. Stephen Hawking had baby mama drama. Okay, go ahead. Sorry, Terrence.
There's actually one more that just came in too, if you can read it.
Oh, okay. She's not happy and wants to leave, but is forced to stay because the money the husband provides also makes her happy. AKA, I'm happy with your money, but not happy with you.
And have you thought about how those women would treat? Because I think that these women, honestly, I think that you kind of said something true there, where these women feel like they're being forced to leave, forced to stay, instead of doing what's hard and leaving and finding and paying for their own way. But could you imagine how horrible they treat the man if they feel like they're being forced to stay because of his money?
Yeah, and I'm not defending women that do that, and I agree that courts tend to screw men over, but the woman that's going to divorce a man over a bad dream might think twice about it if she has a lot more to lose because of a prenup. So, and whether that's a positive or a negative, that depends on how you want to look at it.
So you would be fine with, let's say, what's your age range? Are you like late 20s, early 30s?
I just hit 30.
So let's say you met a guy 35. He's literally, engineer, about to get into the best earning years of his life. And you guys have been dating for 3-4 years. You met his family. He met your family. And he says, look, I want to marry you, but I have to sign a prenup. How would that conversation go? And would you hold it against him?
No, I would not.
At all.
But there would be things I would want depending on how much, because, okay, in an ideal world, I would like to have the ability to be a stay-at-home mom because I feel like it is for the greater good of the children. And I don't know, in the ideal world, obviously I know this is like privilege to ask for and whatnot, but if I'm going to stay home and
it's probably not going to happen, just statistically, just so you know.
I know.
Yeah.
I do realize that.
It's like 15% of women get that.
Okay, but in an ideal, but some are by choice, you know, like also some women don't want to. But I do agree that, especially with me being 30 at this point, it's not exactly looking great for me. But I would like, and just reasonable amounts. Like if I stayed home from work and then we get a divorce, then, you know, I'm not saying like 50% of his salary or anything like that, but you know, if we, and maybe we can.
So you wait. So you
revisit,
think
like,
you'd be like you should be compensated for staying home for him, like allowing you to stay home with the kids?
well, you do take a certain career, you know, break, and
Yeah, but you had like
it
a
is
decade to save. Like you've had, I mean, you're 30, so you've had like 15 years to, you know, save and prepare for this.
for my divorce.
No, to stay home with kids. You're not like, I mean, you'll push out maybe 2.
Yeah, and I mean, like,
Yeah.
if that's even in the cards for me, we'll see. Like, obviously, if I have to work and we have to put the kid in daycare, you know, different story. But I think if it is a situation where I'm,
I mean, I'm
staying
just
at
saying
home,
it's a privilege that only 15% of women get, and you think you should be paid for it when he's like allowing you to
I'm not
live? If anything, you should pay him. You're living rent free.
And then we're falling into the unpaid labor baloney.
I was just about to ask that. Do you believe in that unpaid labor concept? Because you see these articles where a housewife, if
my
she were
God.
paid a salary, she should be paid $250,000 a year. Do you believe in that concept? Yes or no?
definitely not to the tune of $250,000, but I actually see them more get screwed over when they do work, because I do feel like, and I'm like I said, I'm not a feminist. I'm not arguing like against your guys's, you know, point of like men getting screwed over, but I do think sometimes I see women getting screwed over when they go to work and then they're still expected to do all of the domestic duties, or it's kind of frowned upon. So,
But if you think about it, think about the jobs men work and the jobs women work. Women want to take away the domestic labor when men are the ones breaking their backs outdoors. They work jobs that would literally stress them out and kill them. Like if your husband is a freaking a lawyer, and you're a secretary, you know, if he's making $200,000 a year and you're making 40,000, your job is the domestic labor. But we have this thing where like women think that no matter how much money they make, it removes them from domestic duties, and that's not true. Men work longer hours, more stressful jobs in STEM fields, and women still get degrees in freaking underwater lesbian studies and freaking work social work jobs. It's not the same. And we're trying to paint all work as equal. Most women don't work the kind of jobs that men have to work to support their families.
So what you're trying to refer to are known as dud jobs, which is the dirty, uncomfortable, and dangerous jobs.
and I 100% agree. I haven't really had experience dating anyone with a dirty job like that. And no shame, you know, I'm open to whatever, but and I agree, men go like risk their life at work compared to women, but I have also
90% of workplace deaths are men. Go ahead.
but also, like, in this day and age, the reality is that women in my age group, a lot of the times, are out earning men. Not, you know, so much, but it is more common. And I have seen it where the woman is making
How much do you make
half
a year?
or more.
How much do you make a year?
I don't make a ton, you know, like, I'm not saying this would be the case for me, and I would realize that, but I see where women are making like 80, her husband's making 90, and or no, vice versa. She's making 90, he's making 80.
But
and
it's
she's
like
still
it's a
doing-
privilege. Like I don't understand why you're entitled to more money when someone's allowed you to live at home rent free and be with your kids. Then pay for him to stay home. You know, like if you don't like it, don't have kids.
Yeah,
Like,
well,
why would you have
right now I'm
children
talking
if you
about,
like if
I'm
you're not
more
willing to sacrifice anything to have them? Like why have them? Then just don't get your tubes tied.
Okay.
And then I'm gonna bring up one other thing. So, at my day job, you know, there's a lot of I was working in an office where there's literally baby rabies. For like one of the women got pregnant, and then all the women around her got pregnant. And these were women with advanced degrees, working for all these healthcare models and stuff. And these women, they go out on maternity leave and they come back a changed person. I met women that would be in the office 60, 70 hours a week, and then they have a kid, and now they barely want to do 40 because they have their child. And you walk by their desk and you just see them just look at their monitor like, why am I here? Why am I not at home uh, with my child, right? And there's actually a growing part of therapy where these boss women regret missing the younger years of their children. Because your job is always going to be there, but your kids are only going to be young once, right?
Yeah.
Once your kids are grown up, it's over. So you have a lot of these professional women who had to put their child in daycare for some job that ultimately doesn't care about them, and they start going to therapy over this mom guilt because they missed the children's formative years. It's a real thing.
I mean, put yourself in the guy's shoes. If you allowed your husband to stay home and you paid for him to just exist and watch the kids, you think on top of that, if you guys divorce, he should be entitled to your money that you just paid for him the last 5 years?
Or that almost never happens, Pearl.
I know it's never going to happen. But I'm saying, like, if I was in a guy's shoes, I would be pissed. Go ahead.
I had potential to be a higher earner than a man, which I feel like the odds of that are low. But let's say I had some specialized non-pointless degree. I like maybe I could keep him at home. And I do feel like if he took a step away from his career for 5 years, because I do believe kids do best with someone at home and not daycare, so if I had all this earning potential and kept someone at home, I am also willing to have the opposite in the prenup. I mean, obviously, statistically, that's unlikely, but
Oh boy.
I do see the value in
Dustin
that.
says, let's be real. If she has this idea at 30, won't be a stay-at-home mom. She'll just be a stay-at-home woman. Steve, she can start an Etsy page, not an OnlyFans page from home. Well,
thanks, guys.
Well, yeah, I
mean, I really don't disagree with you guys on a lot. Like, I think absolutely men get screwed over, and these guys that are paying like $70,000 a month.
Do you know any women that had a prenup or men?
I've known, like my friend's cousin, stuff like that. But I think
Was it held up
personally-
or no? In court, was it held up? Or like, did they divorce or no?
They didn't divorce.
Oh, okay. Cool.
But yeah, as far as I know, I mean, and my ex told me like we're gonna sign a prenup, and if we ever got married, we would sign a prenup, and I was cool with that. So I'm not.
I have one last question. So what kind of protections would you want? And because at the beginning of the show, we showed this woman who literally one of her friends put in a prenup that she gets a housekeeper and she gets all these different things if she gets divorced from her husband in perpetuity. And it's like, wait, what? I know those are unrealistic, but what kind of protections would you need in a prenup?
Well, I think it would just really be dependent on, if I stayed at home and if not, and it would not be to the tune of like someone's half of their salary or anything like that, I mean, I would say up to 15%. And that's if like he really wanted me to be a domestic stay-at-home mom, because then at that point, like, I feel like, and we could like sign an agreement every 3 years. Like we both still want me to stay home. And if he doesn't want to sign that, then I'm going back to work,
Okay. What would be the difference in your marriage dynamic and your mindset in marriage with a prenup and without one? Or would it be the same?
I feel like it would be the same because I honestly understand why men would want to do it. They hear horror stories. I've heard them, and I don't hold it against them. Yeah. I mean, that's what I like to think, but I don't know if in the moment, you know, it would make me feel a certain kind of way, but.
All right.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, thanks for calling in. Feel free to call back in anytime, okay? Even if you disagree,
Thanks,
I do enjoy having callers, so feel free, okay?
I want to say shout out to Alexia. She paved the way when I saw that she called in. I was like, you know what? Another female caller. Let's go.
Cool.
Anyways, thanks. Have a great night.
Thanks, you too. Bye.
And then the last caller is Just the Other Life. Yeah, I tried to bring Alexia on, but she didn't
Yeah.
mute. Just the Other Life. How you doing?
Hey, how's it going? Thanks for having me.
How are where are you calling out of?
South Dakota.
Cool. What's your experience with prenups?
Not necessarily a prenup, but more of a relationship contract. So
Mhm.
one of my customers, he is with his, he calls her wife, but legally they're not, and we're not in a state that recognizes marriage without a license. So with that being said, their contract is now for over 20 years, and they renew it every 3 years.
Wow.
So so they sit down with attorneys every 3 years. But at the same time, he was a billionaire before he got together with her.
Oh, wow.
So, yeah. And another thing is that what he told me, at least that's what he told me, that he, when he met her, she didn't know who he was. He was just a guy on an old pickup that barely runs with a manual transmission that barely works.
Mhm.
And that's how she knew him. And then he offered her, like, hey, let's make an agreement.
Mm-hmm.
Would you do that? And she's like, yeah, why not? I don't care for marriage license. And that's when he pretty much revealed who he actually is. And because he had to do pretty much the whole financial audit and everything before they
Mhm.
got together.
Wow.
And it's
And
still
you just
working right now.
you just randomly know a billionaire?
Well,
pretty cool.
I'm in the energy sector, so
Oh, okay.
I have to deal with people.
Oh,
And
cool.
a lot of them, I had to service multi-million-dollar houses and stuff like that. So yeah.
Cool.
And now, working with the energy sector, I see quite a few different pictures. I see people breaking up and men being raped over the coals. At the same time,
Mhm.
like in my neighborhood, we have women's shelter where pretty much we're all told in the neighborhood, like, yeah, if you see noise over there, you gotta run there and help and all that stuff. I'm like, nah, I'm not doing that shit.
Cool. So he did a contract that renews every 3 years, and it worked for him because she didn't know who he was before, and she agreed to it before she even knew about his money.
Not necessarily. No, she agreed to have a contract,
Mhm.
but not sign it before she knew who he actually was.
Mhm.
Yeah, so he pretty much, I guess, tested the ground or tested the waters, so to say, to see if this woman actually cares about marriage, because that was his check, if this woman is in it for money or if she is in it for something else.
It says, Zach says, so the dude entered into a renewable partnership. Hey.
Yes.
It's more stable
Yes.
than marriage. You know?
Yes, and the agreement was actually, there's few things that they had to follow. Is one of their points is that they have to do everything possible to be together until the youngest child is 18 years old.
Got it.
So there's quite a few things. There's things like who does what in the house.
Mhm.
Like, for example, who is responsible for things like taking out the garbage? Who's responsible for things like repairing something in the house? Who's responsible for whatever the detail is? It's all in that agreement. And that's why it renews every 3 years. So that way they can add or remove things.
Got it. Cool.
Yeah. And from what I understood, that's what gets upheld contractually way higher because it's renewed, it's been modified over time, everybody on the same page all the time. Because most people, what they do with prenups, they sign it once and forget. But times change, needs change, people change, laws change. So you have to renew, update, and stay on top of it.
Cool.
Okay. Cool.
Well, thanks for calling in. That was really interesting.
Yeah, absolutely.
So
You guys have a good one.
call in any time, okay?
Absolutely, sure will.
That's everybody.
Cool. Thanks, guys. This was a lot of callers today. This is great. Doug, MPA, would you do that? A contract renewed every 3 years?
I wonder how much that costs in legal fees.
Oh God, yeah, he does have $1 billion to spend.
Yeah, because like that lawyer's like, yeah, why don't you come in every couple of years and give you another 40 grand or something. I just feel like that costs a lot of money, a lot. But I mean, if I had the resources, I guess. But
yeah, you don't want to just blow your money on that, huh?
Yeah, that's not an option. The less money we give to lawyers, the better off we're gonna be.
Terrence, what did you think?
Well, I'm going to be honest. I am just 100% anti-marriage in the current environment. There's no workarounds until we're willing to change the laws and put in some mechanisms to make it fair. It is so one-sided. Men are dying over this. If you ever wonder why there's so many homeless men out there, a lot of them are made homeless by the system and never, ever get out from underneath the boot of the government.
That's true.
It's true. All right. Well, any final thoughts, you guys?
Marriage is a bad deal for men, guys. Average men don't get married. And then I don't care what anybody says. Most women, I'd say 90%, will get upset if you ask them for a prenup.
Yeah, they try to guilt you.
Yeah, it's the same as if you were to ask for a DNA test. It's the same thing. You ask for it, and then she's going to hold it over you for the rest of the time that you're with her and that you know her. It's the same thing with asking for a prenup. It's the same thing.
Yeah, I learned a lot today. Thanks for calling in, guys. Like the video on your way out and subscribe to the channel. Also, subscribe to Terrence's channel. We'll put that in the chat. It's Redonkulous, right?
Redonkulous.com. I do videos on virtually every video platform on the planet. I do comedy to stop male suicide, and we're up to 562 lives saved since 2009.
Cool.
I'm putting it in there right now.
Yeah, we'll put it in the comments too. All right, guys, make sure you like the video, subscribe to the channel, ring that notification bell, and we will talk to you guys next time. Bye-bye.